Hi everyone and welcome to a Theme Park Worldwide news update. Back in the studio today after an awesome couple of days down south watching the construction of Hyperia. It was an amazing couple of days, especially yesterday when Hyperia was crowned as the UK's tallest roller coaster. We captured the historic moment that the crest was lifted into place. It was an amazing day with a fantastic atmosphere. So if you haven't already, make sure you check out the previous two videos to this one and of course yesterday's vlog where we saw that historic moment for the UK theme park industry. Really exciting times and honestly cannot wait to experience it. In terms of other news though, of course, here in the UK for this year, so much going on. We've got Nemesis next week, Drayton Manor's new roller coaster under construction, Legoland's coaster opening soon, and we've now got these more details from Drayton Manor about Shockwave's transformation. Now, a little bit of history about this for you. Shockwave opened as a stand-up coaster manufactured by Intamin back in 1994. So that was 30 years ago. And it's quite funny really because that time was known as the year of the roller coaster in the UK, with Shockwave opening at Drayton Manor, Nemesis at Alton Towers and the big one at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Back then the tallest roller coaster in the world. And it's quite funny really because here we are 30 years later, 2024, and it's very much our year of the roller coaster again now with everything that's going on. So yeah, it's quite funny, isn't it really, how it all works out. And yeah, when Shockwave opened, of course, stand-up trains on there, reaching a top speed of 53 miles an hour through 4 different inversions, including the only zero-G roll ever built on a stand-up coaster. Whether that was a good thing or a bad thing or not, I'm not too sure. I'll let you decide that down in the comments. It was certainly a unique experience, but not really very comfortable going through that zero-G roll standing up. Along with that, a large loop and 2 other corkscrews made up 4 total inversions on the ride. Now, over the past few years, it was clear that Shockwave, in its current status, was coming to the end of its life. It was starting to get quite uncomfortable, and don't get me wrong, it was still an enjoyable ride experience, unique being the only stand-up in the UK, and for a long period of time, it was the only stand-up coaster in Europe as well. And let's be honest, it was a coaster type that, you know, never really took off massively around the world. Most of the stand-up coasters you see really are over in the States, but still, it was kind of like a dying breed of coasters. And with Drayton Manor undergoing an ownership change and also a big change in direction to become more of a family park, it was, you know, certainly a time where the park thought, what should we do? Should the ride stay? Should it go? Should we transform it? And obviously the park made the decision to transform Shockwave. So that leads us to where we are now, 2024, and details have just been announced for the Wave. So yes, that is the name for the ride. Now, I've got to say, as much as it is quite a basic name, I do like the fact that, you know, you've still got Wave in there from Shockwave itself. I think that's really nice. And also, it fits with the area that it's in as well. A few years ago, Drayton Manor opened Adventure Cove, which really tied together that area nicely with the new wave swinger, the play area. They put some new bits of theming around. They actually painted up all of Shockwave Station because I think back then they knew that this was probably going to happen and they were going to transform the ride for 2024. Now, the biggest change with the Wave is, of course, it's not going to be a stand-up roller coaster anymore. After 30 years, it is now going to be a sit-down coaster. But what's going to make this great is the train that they've actually purchased is going to feature lapbar restraints. So gone is the kind of standing up, climbing over awkwardly, pulling the restraint down on one side and putting your shoulder in the other way. All that's gone. You're just going to sit in your seat, hopefully for a nice, comfortable ride. Now, before I talk about the trains and who's manufacturing them and go into some more details about that, what we can expect, just want to say, you know, I'm really liking the look of the colour scheme of the trains. It looks very similar to the original colour scheme of Shockwave as well from 30 years ago with the yellow on there. I think that's going to fit really nicely together with this overall themed area of Adventure Cove. Now, the train itself is being manufactured not by Intamin, the manufacturer of the ride, but by a German company called Art Engineering. Now, they're not actually a very well-known manufacturer. They've only actually built 12 roller coasters, but they've done a lot of other kind of repair work and trains and that sort of thing for other rides over the years too. In terms of a coaster that they have actually built here in the UK, that was a few years ago at Legoland Windsor, Duplo Dino coaster, just a small junior coaster there. Art Engineering actually manufactured that. Now also they have built a couple of bigger coasters. One of those is in Utah over in the United States of America, and that ride is known as Cannibal at Lagoon. Now I've never actually experienced this ride or been to the park, but I've heard good things about this coaster, and the trains actually look very comfortable on this. So it's really good to see Drayton Manor actually going to a company like Art Engineering to design this, because you've got to think, even with Intamin, the days of them building stand-up coasters, you know, they're in the past, aren't they? It's like B&M, the days of them building them were in the past, until of course we saw Pipeline the surf coaster open at SeaWorld Orlando last year, and then trying to kind of you know, start something up again in terms of a new generation stand-up coaster. So no, it's good to see they've gone for Art Engineering. I've heard good things. I know quite a few people in the States that have experienced Cannibal, and they said that it's a good ride. It's very comfortable. Now, yes, it has got the lap bars, but it's also got like a restraint around your legs as well. So hopefully that's going to be okay. I'd certainly rather have that than have a big bulky over-the-shoulder restraint. And I think with the 4 inversions that they've got on Shockwave, it's going to make the layout a lot more exciting as well. Now, there's no changes coming to the track or anything like that. That's been deemed to last for many more years, which is really good to see, especially for a 30-year-old coaster. Just goes to show how things, you know, were built back in the day, you know, built to last, which is great to see. And then, yeah, of course, they've bought the 1 train, which they're going to put into service on here from very soon this year. Now, with the train itself, you can also see how it's not got any high sides on, which is quite nice. It's just got like the grills to kind of walk over from the platform onto the train itself. So yeah, I'm liking the fact it's got low sides, which is going to make it a really nice ride experience and kind of open, especially if you're on the outer seats. Talking of seats, it's going to still have 6 rows like Shockwave did before, and the Wave will also have 4 riders across, meaning 24 riders on 1 train. So yeah, I'm going to be really intrigued to see how this is going to ride, especially with them kind of retrofitting it on, you know, instead of it coming from Intamin. But I'm really liking the fact they've gone with this company. I think it makes a lot more sense, and you know, I don't think we'd have had Lapbars if they'd have gone with anyone else. So I think this is a really nice feature that's going to make it a great addition to Drayton Manor. The main selling point of this for me is the fact that the height restriction has now been reduced from 1.4 meters down to 1.2, which is quite a drop, isn't it? And that is all because of this train design. The fact they went to Art Engineering, they're building it, and you know, you've got this special train, which is going to be really nice on there. Very unique, and like I say, still similar to Cannibal, but not really many other coasters feature anything quite like this. So it's going to be a very different ride for Drayton Manor and for us to have here in the UK. It's going to change the ride experience quite a lot, in my opinion. As much as, you know, you think, oh, well, it's just going to be like sitting down, going through the same elements. With it having that lap bar, you're going to get some different forces, maybe some more hang time on the loop. Yeah, I just think it's going to be a really nice ride experience, as long as it feels quite smooth. But I'm sure it will, though. I mean, Shockwave never really felt rough, even in its latter years. It was more uncomfortable because of the trains, and you could tell the trains were coming to, you know, an older age, not really the track and the transitions on the rest of the layouts. Now, along with that, the park are actually saying it's going to be the UK's most thrilling family coaster. I think that's quite a nice tagline to go down, because yeah, you got to think realistically, you know, what other family coasters have we got in the UK with a 1.2 meter height restriction and 4 inversions? I mean, we haven't. So yeah, that's really exciting. The fact that, you know, you've got this the 4 inversions with the lower height restriction is going to be great. I mean, kids who are maybe 5 or 6 years old, as long as they meet that 1.2 meter height, are going to be able to ride on the Wave. Now, finally, we do know there's also going to be some new theming and effects added around the ride too. We don't know the exact details of this yet, but that's going to be really nice. I'm hoping that, of course, you've got the straight section, haven't you, after the 0G roll before you go round and into the corkscrews. That straight section there really could do with some theming. I think it'd be nice having something over there. So fingers crossed they will, and I'm sure that'll all tie into Adventure Cove and the kind of seaside feel that they've got going on with that area as well. So they're all the facts that we know so far. Looking forward to experiencing it. I think the fact that the park are teasing this more than the new coaster they're currently building shows that this is probably going to open much sooner, maybe near the start of the season. Possibly later this month, early April, which would be nice to see ahead of the new coaster opening later this year. So very exciting times from Drayton Manor. It's the Wave. Let me know your thoughts, and I'm really excited to actually just see how this rides, especially with the train from Art Engineering, with the lap bars, as long as it's nice and comfortable. You know, at first I was looking at it and zooming right in and thinking, you know, how are them leg restraints going to be? But I think they're going to be absolutely fine. And speaking to a couple of my friends in the US who've been to Lagoon and experienced Cannibal, the trains are pretty good. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how this is going to be for the wave, the transformation of Shockwave at Drayton Manor. As always, I'd love to know what you guys think, so comment down below on this video. Let's keep it interactive as we get to the start of a very exciting season here in the UK. Well, that leaves me with one final thing to say. Get out there and keep on riding. See you in the next video.